To you by Papa John's. We'll get comments from the coaches, plus a look at the numbers that'll shape up tonight's matchup. Now, Glenn Grunwald, Darren Dunn, and HCC Sports Information Director Steve Carpenter with the Papa John's Countdown to Kickoff on VW Radio and Country 102.9.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Papa John's Countdown to Kickoff, brought to you by Papa John's Pizza, 501 East 17th, 665-7272 or 665-PAPA. I'm Glenn Grunwald, joined by Steve Carpenter, Fine Sports Information Director at Hutchinson Community College, my good friend Darren Dunn, who does the home PA as well as the road play-by-play in color for HCC. And, guys, tough loss up at Iowa. Let's talk about it first of all. Iowa Western, Carp, a good team, no doubt about that, but we were toe-to-toe with them.
Very much so. The mistakes out there were evident. They were huge, they were glaring, and ultimately they led to a loss. But I saw a football team make quite a bit of improvement, especially on the defensive end, and that's why I'm very hopeful for the remainder of this 2017 season that the Blue Dragons are going to be right in the thick of the JAC conference race and ultimately back into the polls when the final polls come out. I think it's what I saw on Saturday is very promising.
Another slow start, down 14 to start the ball game, but you're absolutely right. A lot of promise. To be completely honest with you, I'm surprised they didn't receive votes on this latest poll. I mean, you're talking about a team they went up against that was number 12 in the nation at the time, number 7 in the nation now. I felt like when it comes down to the final play, that somewhere is vote-worthy. But that will come in the next few weeks as long as the Blue Dragons can take care of business. They were much better, obviously, in the second half. This defense is still a really good defense. They took that air game, took it away from Iowa Western in the second half, kept them to 60 yards passing in that second half. The leading rusher on the team ended the game with something like 2.6 yards per carry, and that was even better in the first half at 1.9. So defense did a lot. The offense did a lot. Just have to be crisper in certain situations. Can't have that slow start offensively of not being able to handle the snaps.
The highlights for me, the defense was outstanding. 3 times they stopped them. 1 time they were able to get the field goal. That's what gave them the different edge from was a 6-point difference at 27-21 the final. But that last play got it down to the 2, dove over. We thought there was a touchdown, would have been a tying touchdown. Extra point would have won the ball game. It was not to be. The 10-second runoff, and Steve, that's just football, and it's a matter we didn't have any timeouts left, couldn't stop the clock.
Right now, for both sides of the football, it's just a matter of cleaning things up and becoming much crisper on execution for both offense and defense. Offensively, especially, the penalties are really hurting. There were far fewer 15-yard penalties. There were far fewer penalties after the play than the week before against Coffeyville. So, again, that's improvement. We said in week 1 of Countdown that we didn't know what this team had. We're starting to get a glimpse of it, and I really like what I see. Now when the execution, they've been together 2 whole
5 yards, and, of course, B.J. Emmons had 92. But you saw him excel in the punt return and kick return game. And in a portion where Jalen Irwin was struggling to be in the right place to receive the kick, Waller went in there and made some great decisions. Now, I know it was kind of a 50-50 on whether or not he should have caught that one punt down inside the 10. I know more often than not you want to let it go and see if it's going to bounce into the end zone. I really didn't feel like it was that bad of a decision based on the way I'd seen the punter in pregame place those balls inside the 10 with those corner coffins and the way that ball probably would have stayed in play. So he made great decisions. I hope the trend, though, isn't that Waller is going to have a big play for a touchdown or a big play for 60 to 70 yards and get it called back every game on a penalty. One of these days it's going to stick, and it's going to be a huge play for Deshaun Waller.
Let's go and take a look and listen to what Coach Rhodes had to say on Dragon Talk, which was this last Tuesday, as he talked with Rob Dreher. Here's what he said about the ball game.
The way we played in the second half, and really, other than a couple of plays in the first half, I felt like we were fairly dominant.
A huge favorite. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but the Dragons are a huge favorite today. They got to look forward to going to Garden City next week. Garden City is a very beatable team. They should have been beat Saturday.
15 points, and they didn't do that. They stayed right in the ball game, and I think the other thing that you look at here is if HCC plays a complete game against Iowa Western, I think they actually win that game by a couple of touchdowns. So this team, first game action officially for you guys this season. What have you seen from your team in the first couple of scrimmages of the year?
A lot of progression. A lot of our guys are learning the actual game, the game speed of college football. They've been kind of getting the hang of it and understanding that it's not high school. So we're actually on the incline. They're learning and adjusting, digesting a lot of it. So I'm looking forward to seeing them compete in the first official game.
I hear that a lot. Do you also see that a lot, where it takes a little bit of adjusting for the player to catch up to the speed from high school to college?
Oh yeah, most definitely. On the speed and then the reactions and also the schemes of things are totally different from high school, and our guys are starting to see the biggest difference from being a high school stud and coming and trying to adjust and being a college athlete. So yes, it is very true that the speed of college football from high school is totally different.
With what you've seen from your team in these scrimmages, what do you feel good about, and what are you a little bit worried about going into this game?
Just being honest, I feel good about their will to continue to compete, even with adversity. Their fearlessness about going against guys who may have been in the college world for 2 or 3 years already. What I guess if you could say worried about is fatigue. We do have a small roster, so being that this is our first full competition, I am kind of worried about the endurance things part of it.
Speaking of that small roster, how many do you expect to suit up in the game?
We're gonna travel with about 32 guys. We know that most universities and colleges play about 32 guys regularly, but they also have a deep bench in case one of those guys do get injured. We actually have the actual set number of 32 with no bench.
Yeah, that has to be where that fatigue you were talking about sets in. So you have a lot of guys playing both offense and defense?
No, we only have our linemen. A couple of those guys play the both sides of the ball. Other than that, our skill guys are pretty much set on one side.
Tell us a little bit about Resolution Prep Academy, as you guys like to say, RPA. Who are the types of players that you get to come to your school?
Similar to a JUCO, we actually get those guys who were undersized, underdeveloped, or those who might have gotten injured their senior year who didn't get a chance to play, and we recruit those guys similar to a JUCO. And they come and we develop them more on student habits as far as studying and things of that nature. But we also get the ones that need more film or need more size or more playing time to get recruited.
Going back to your glory days of playing defensive back out there in the corner and safety, what knowledge do you take from college ball and trying to get into the NFL, all those experiences, and what do you take from that and apply to the teams you coach these days?
Just time management. Time management was one of the biggest things because you do have to balance out life and sports. So, being a former college athlete and aspiring pro is just, teaching these guys that, time management is critical and being a master of your craft.
Have you seen much game film on HCC?
Yes, I actually seen a couple of their recent games, and then we also watched a couple of their last year games, as well.
How do you go about?
We kind of went with this quick count.
Quite possibly they were going quick count. They did go no huddle, obviously, in their 2-minute offense as they were trying to drive pretty much the length of the field in order to get into scoring